Warning. The following podcast you are about to listen to contains hacked information.
We are villain for all seasons. This is episode 7. I'm Dan.
And I am Ben.
Thanks for joining us again. We have an exciting show this week, but Ben, can you talk about that? Why this might be banned on Twitter?
Yes. So journalist Max Blumenthal from the Gray Zone,
Friend of the show,
came out with a piece, I believe, last week that revealed BBC and Reuters had been basically running like a psyop. So this is an article from Max Blumenthal for the Gray Zone. The headline for the article is Reuters, BBC, and Bellingcat participated in covert UK Foreign Office funded programs to, quote, weaken Russia, leaked docs reveal. New leaked documents show Reuters and BBC's involvement in covert UK FCO programs to effect, quote, attitudinal change and, quote, weaken the Russian state's influence alongside intel contractors and Bellingcat. So there's a lot to unpack with this that we don't really have time to go through all of it. Yeah, basically it showed that everything you've been hearing about Russiagate has been committed against Russia and continues to be, which, you know, for anybody following American statecraft or UK statecraft is not particularly surprising, but now we have real proof here from two of the largest media corporations in the world, and also considered two of the more reputable ones. So that was a real bombshell report anyway. And what happened was a few days later, there was a new setting on, or a new, what would you say, like a new trigger warning on Twitter.
Yeah, like a notification that accompanied each post.
Yeah, so accompanying each post, much like what we've seen with anything that is COVID related, that's saying, this contains information about COVID that may or may not be true. This, on the other hand, said for the first time ever that this contains information that may be hacked.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot to unpack there. The funniest bit, though, is that it actually got a lot more clicks because of that, for obvious reasons.
Banned book is always the bestseller,
It's more enticing that way. That's why, yes, this all the information coming to you from this podcast and henceforth every other podcast we ever do contains leaked information, because we need those clicks.
We need those clicks. I want to go back to this leaking with hack materials, and then I also want to talk about that Alan McLeod article that shows how this became more of a meme. So again, for some context, when Max tweeted out this article, which showed that the UK Foreign Office, which is essentially, I guess, like the UK State Department, that would be our equivalent. Yeah. It showed them funneling money to the BBC, the British Broadcasting Network, and Reuters, and working to actively undermine the Russian state. Which, again, this is kind of like it's pretty obvious that like this has been happening, but it really does undermine what are so-called independent news sources. And also, this is something that we constantly in the West say that Russia is doing on their side. I don't know how does someone parse this out.
Yeah, again, it's just like, this is what I've been saying, and a lot of other people have been saying for years with the with the Russiagate shit, is there's this immense amount of pearl clutching coming from the UK and especially from the US in the wake of Trump about like, oh my God, they messed with our elections, which is, try and say that to somebody from Southeast Asia or South America or Africa or the Middle East without them, I guess, dying of laughter in the hypocrisy of that statement. And it wasn't terribly surprising. I think the reaction to it was more surprising, I suppose. But it's an amazing bit of leaked information, and it's very important. But I think it's very disturbing. Blah blah blah. Oh my God. But the more disturbing even is Twitter basically scrambling to try and get ahead of this.
Yeah, people have even notified that when they would try to retweet the article, there would be a warning that this does contain hacked material, as if by retweeting it, you would be somehow liable in some
I guess that's what
way
it
at the
had to.
moment.
Yeah, I guess that's what it had to be, right? Because again, I don't see how reading hacked material would like. Who are these people who that's part of their moral compass to go like, oh, this is ill-gotten information? No, thank you, sir.
Well, also they did this with WikiLeaks, if you remember, back in the 2010s, a little bit after that. That if you were even to go to the WikiLeaks site, there was some kind of vague threat that you would be tracked for doing so. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it's a sort of, you remember on like VHSs and DVDs where they like that you would get from Blockbuster or whatever, where
Yeah,
they would
yeah.
have that like you wouldn't steal a car,
Yeah, yeah.
you wouldn't whatever. So why, equating it with high crimes,
Yeah.
it sort of rings of that of just like just in case you were thinking about distributing Toy Story 2.
It again brings up this distinction between what is hacked material and what is leaked material. And increasingly so on social media, we are not allowed to see, quote, hacked material, unquote, because it's supposedly ill-gotten, as if it doesn't have some interest, some public interest to see this material. And also, again, this is what journalists do every day. They share leaked material from a whistleblower.
Yeah, and who gives a shit if it's hacked? Like again, it's like, what is it? Was it bad now? Did it spoil?
Yeah, again, this is
Yeah.
I think this is something we talk about with Kevin, is just that this is in the public interest. I mean, if like you said, if it's hacked material, that doesn't spoil what is being said, or that somehow this isn't happening.
Yeah, and I think you must be right. I think it has to be like sort of trying to scare people a bit, right? To make them think they might be complicit in some sort of crime, because that's the only explanation that makes sense to me. Because when I first saw that they did that, I was like, what kind of stupid ass idea is that? Like that, what are they trying to appeal to people's moral character?
Yeah.
As if that's on anybody's, as if anybody in the general public is that anti-hacking.
And then on that note, you constantly see these social media platforms like starting to crack down on this, but only in Western interest. And that brings up the other big story
Right.
about that, which is Twitter starts to ban accounts that, quote, undermine the faith of NATO, unquote. And I think we've
God
mentioned,
forbid.
yeah, I think we've mentioned on this podcast, really don't see the point of continuing NATO, which was started as a military alliance against the Soviet Union. So unless you really think Vladimir Putin belongs beside Joseph Stalin and those people, again, not a good dude, but I don't see why we need to keep this military alliance.
Yeah, that's what this reporting that Max Blumenthal did is, showing that BBC and Reuters was actively trying to bolster support for NATO, amongst other things. I mean, I guess it's not strange, but it's interesting that these restrictions or these. It's strange that they're giving the game away. It's getting more and more specific. Right. Before this, it was really Palestine and Israel was the hot button issue. And like you could kind of set your watch to how that was going to be reacted to by Twitter or Facebook. But now we're moving into NATO, which is strange, too, because like, I mean, at least from an American's perspective, most Americans, I don't think give a shit about NATO.
Well, they did when Trump so-called tried to threaten NATO, even though he fulfilled the Obama initiative of getting the allies to actually commit more money to NATO.
Yeah, the only thing Trump did with NATO was complain that we were paying too much for it, which is what Trump does about literally everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, he got his wish. He got the alliance members to contribute more money.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
We won't go down that path because it is very frustrating.
Yeah, we should maybe do a deeper dive into this next week, but it's an important thing to keep watch on because this is more so, I would say, or it looks more like a canary in the coal mine rather than anything catastrophic in just this moment. But I think now that the seal has been broken for this, we're definitely going to see more of it one way or another, whether it's more things becoming hacked material or definitely going to see more of this NATO bullshit.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be, this is just us saying we got here first, but we got here second after the gray zone, close second.
Yeah. And yeah, be careful where you share this podcast afterwards.
Yeah, we're going to keep it on our radar.
And I said this emphatically, share this podcast, like, subscribe, tell us that we're undermining NATO.
That's the only reason we're doing this is for the shares.
Speaking of undermining Western values, Mr. Potato Head.
Excuse me, Daniel?
Yeah, sorry. Well, Ms. or just Potato Head now?
It's just Potato Head now.
Got it.
Yeah, we're going to get real Joe Rogan here for a moment with some non-binary rhetoric. Some of you may have heard that in a massive civil rights win, Mr. Potato Head, the classic toy from 75 years ago, is no longer Mr. and just Potato Head.
Did we figure out if there's still Mrs. Potato Head?
Yeah, they didn't clarify that. I would have thought Ms. Potato Head would have made more sense, because why should she have to be defined by her marriage?
Yeah.
I think the real issue here is I think this is serious in that it's sort of jumping the queue. You know, we have, you know, we're going straight to the how the Mr. Potato Head chooses to self-identify, and we're completely skipping over the racial issue between potatoes that has not been solved. I mean, is Potato Head a Yukon Gold? Is it a Violette? Is it a Ratte? Is it a Laura potato? Is it a King Edward? A Kennebach?
Is there russet in there somewhere?
Is it a Melody? Is it a russet potato?
Yeah.
Looking over my potato list, is it a Duke of York? A Doré? So there's a lot of questions to be answered. I think this is one comment we got on our Instagram from a follower that you know, the real issue is how this is going to affect Toy Story 5.
I hadn't seen that comment yet. That's great.
Yeah. You know, and again, I don't want to get Joe Rogan because I don't have his kind of clout, but you know, not to denigrate the non-binary movement, I guess, but could we have healthcare, please? Like, could we stop having cops killing black men? Could we have something else? It's like my fucking apartment's on fire and I'm worried that my coffee machine isn't working. It's like, that wasn't the issue that needed to be solved. And who the fuck is buying Mr. Potato Heads? Again, it's a shitty toy that hasn't existed. I guess Toy Story's got to be the only explanation, right? Well, I mean, Mr. Potato Head was a character in Toy Story.
Yeah. I know, but
it hasn't been like, there's no kids playing with Mr. Potato Heads.
Right. And I mean, I think this is something we talked about in the pre-show. It's just like, was Hasbro just trying to like do some preventative PR? You know, did they think they were going to be called out for this or something?
No, they couldn't have. Come on. Unless somebody wanted to get laughed out of the room. I think it was a marketing ploy to try and bolster some sales.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Yeah. And again, like,
right.
This is very pro whatever movement, you know, sexuality, things like that. But yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like a PR ploy. It's what everybody's talking about this week. We are talking about it on our podcast. So like, clearly this is just a wedge issue.
Hasbro got what they wanted because you got the villain for all seasons bump.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Yeah, I mean, it just has to be that, because again, like, I had a Mr. Potato Head when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I think because of Toy Story. And the real issue here is that it's a shitty toy. It's not fun.
Yeah, I don't even know what you're supposed to.
I guess different faces on them and stuff. You could like
the mustache was the big deal, I guess.
Yeah, you could have the mustache. I think different glasses, whether you wanted him to have stigmatism or not. But he couldn't move. He's a potato. He didn't have legs. He has a wife. But it's a stupid toy, Hasbro, and you should do better. I think that this is the real issue. It's like, why don't you make a new non-binary toy that doesn't suck, with legs or wheels?
Wheels would be sick.
That would have been more revolutionary. Mr. Potato Head now has wheels.
That reminds me, we should give a shout out to our new producer, Joe, who is helping us with the show. We're really happy to have you. Joe, if you could somehow get this over to Hasbro, I think that'd be really, really some of the kind of the PR that we need. A nice ecosystem there.
We're open to endorsements too.
Yeah, and we also want to shout out
friendly show.
We also want to shout out Andrew. We had a new design last week for everybody who saw that. So thanks, Andrew, for that. Thanks everybody for tuning in. So now that we are off of our Joe Rogan thing, I think this is something I want to just kind of like clear my desk, throw everything off, and talk about this week, and that's Sleepy Joe bombing Syria.
Come on, man.
I hate that, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's got to stop saying it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not my fault.
We all heard about it. And for me, at least, mostly from memes more than anything else. So I'm glad that the meme community is getting more engaged in international politics. I think that's a win. But could you give a brief overview of what this bombing was?
Yeah, sure. So, everybody in the United States was enjoying a pretty quiet Thursday night before the Friday leading into the weekend, and news alerts suddenly came in that the US has bombed Syria, and for the reason being that so-called Iranian-linked paramilitary groups in Iraq attacked. They originally it was contractors working in Iraq, and they tend to suggest that it was an American contractor, but since then, it sounds like it was a Filipino contractor. Just to back that all up again, the U.S. attacked Syria over the border because so-called Iranian-linked paramilitary groups attacked contractors in Iraq. So if that doesn't tell you about the like bowl of spaghetti that is geopolitics in the Middle East right now, I don't know what else will. But again,
Yeah,
or go ahead.
and just in case you were worried that we might not get back into the Iran nuclear deal, rest assured, we definitely will not. I mean, I feel like just to go off on a tangent there for a moment. I mean, I feel like that ship had kind of already sailed, but I felt like this was a nail in the coffin that it's definitely not going to happen, even though they were sort of weren't they? They were claiming that it was not escalating tensions, or it was like, I don't know how you could have a non-escalating missile strike.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that again, it just shows how the media is willing to like carry water for these people. They called the missile strike, excuse me, precise. They called it tiny. A missile strike that blew up a few buildings, killed about 22 people. They called that tiny. Again, it goes
Many,
back to that language that we used during the drone warfare of this is like a clean war. There's no extra casualties because of it. Because anytime you destroy infrastructure, it's not like it has any kind of residual effect.
I was wondering if I could read off a couple tweets here that I'd seen about this. So this one is from April 14th, 2018, from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC. Here's the profound danger of what we just did in Syria. The quote, mad king president, that would be Trump, with majority disapproval of Americans, just decided to bomb a nation without the constitutional requirement of congressional approval. Democrats who take war money pass the laws allowing that. So there's a little silent shout out to the Obama-Biden administration. I think it's the Democrats who take war money. But that aged well. I haven't heard anything from AOC yet on this. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Let's see, what else did we have?
Shinseki had a good one, I think.
Oh, I hadn't seen her. Well, there was one more. This is a tweet from January 6, 2020, from Joseph Robinette Biden. Let's be clear. Donald Trump does not have the authority to take us into war with Iran without congressional approval. A president should never take this nation to war without the informed consent of the American people. You just gotta love it, folks.
And I want to read this one from Shinseki. This is from April 6, 2017. Also, what is the legal authority for strikes? Assad is a brutal dictator, but Syria is a sovereign country.
Again, with, I suppose, so much of what we talk about, the point is not exactly that this is a departure from normal US foreign policy, right? I mean, I think we could agree on that. Yeah, I think it's more the hypocrisy. I mean, and of course the dead Syrians, and the fact that we're not going to see anything close to a peace deal with Iran probably in our lifetimes.
Yeah, which is really sad. It's also this media cover given to the Biden administration. Again, like I see this as front page news. And not to say that wasn't on front page, but it's like it was a really small column. Also on Thursday night, the Senate parliamentarian, I just want to make sure I'm getting that right, advised that they take out the $15 minimum wage. And everybody has just said, okay, no problem. We're just going to take that out so we can pass this COVID relief bill.
Yeah, and I mean, to go with this, and then also we should move on to talking about Saudi Arabia as well. But just as an overview of all of this, I guess the main point for me is that Biden is getting the the media and political equivalent of having the bumpers out when you're bowling.
Yeah.
He already is, and I see no reason for it to stop. Just getting the benefit of every doubt and getting he's getting a free pass on literally every front that there could possibly be.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's exhausting. It's like, how long are we going to watch this? And it's just going to get worse. I mean, this is one bombing, and then it's going to be another, and then another, and another. And then 22 comes along, and then he won't have the House or the Senate, and nothing will have gotten done.
Yeah, I think before we get to Saudi Arabia, it's worth mentioning the opening of the new detention facility on the border. One that was actually closed, I think, during the Trump administration that Biden is now reopening. And I was trying to understand during the week, like, what bothers me so much about this, because every story you read, there is justification in every paragraph. There's a surge to the border. So Biden can't necessarily, grant amnesty to these people, because if he were to do that, there's going to be an even bigger surge to the border. We really have to keep an eye on these people for their own protection, because if we just let them in, it could spread COVID. Again, everything is couched in justifying what the administration just did. During Trump, clearly that was not the case. This giving the benefit of the doubt, and I don't think that Trump deserves the benefit of the doubt, but I don't think either deserve the benefit of the doubt, especially in contrast to what we saw at media coverage during Trump.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's so infuriating about all this. For quite a few reasons, but going back to having the the bumpers out for Biden, and he still manages to miss the pins, is that like, you don't have to do this for him. Like, I can understand it a little more with Hillary. I mean, I didn't, but like with Hillary, there was this Hillary cult where people just like wanted to believe in her and stuff. But like, no one ever believed in Biden. No one wanted him as the main candidate, aside from normal people, not the Democratic machine. So it's just kind of, and again, like, the honeymoon's over. Like, we're all glad Trump has gone. That's great. But like, this is what I keep thinking, is like, you don't have to be this deferential to him.
Oh.
You never liked him that much in the first place. He's a billion years old. You're not going to hurt his feelings. Like, but there's just absolute whitewash every single issue, no matter what.
Yeah, and just to bring it to Saudi Arabia, right before the strikes happened, Biden was on the phone with King Salman. And just for some context,
friend of the show, King Salman.
Friend of the show. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. King Salman, friend of the show, longtime listener. So there's basically like a power. I don't know if you even want to call it a power struggle, but there is King Salman, who is the father of MBS, Mohammed bin Salman.
Not a friend of the show.
Not a friend of the show. Sanctioned by the show. MBS has a Jared Kushner buddy. He's basically leading the war in Yemen. They tried to oust the Lebanese leader because he's too deferential to Iran. Not a good guy, but really touted in the West, even by people like Thomas Friedman and publications like The Guardian when he first came into power, as this great reformer. Clearly,
so could we just for a bit of in case you've forgotten, just for a bit of context, MBS did a big. He was actually on the cover of Time magazine with the line "Charm Offensive."
Yeah.
So he was supposed to be this great reformer a few years back, and really did put on a charm offensive, and everybody loved him. And his main thing that he was reforming was, I guess, he was letting it was something about like letting women drive, basically.
Yeah.
Huge step, Saudi. Well done.
Though not allowing women to attend that Toby Keith concert.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm with MBS on this. I feel like that's a favor. Toby Keith played in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. I maybe we can on our Patreon episode we can stream it.
What did he do? Did he just shout racial slurs at them the whole time?
I really hope so.
Oh man.
But yeah, I mean, obviously MBS is as concluded by this Senate intel report, is killed journalist Jamal Khashoggi.
Khashoggi, who was taken at the Turkish embassy, or the embassy in Turkey.
Yeah.
Right. Saudi embassy in Turkey, and went in one day and never left. And it was later shown that he was chopped up into little bits, and I think reportedly like buried in the backyard of something. Or
I don't think they found.
They didn't find it. That was like one of the rumors, I guess. But a really, really gruesome display that is, pretty par for the course for Saudi Arabia, but was a departure in that it was so bold, it was so outlandish, and so like nakedly public that you either have to think like those guys are fucking idiots, Or the more likely thing I feel like was they were trying to kind of test the waters because he had he had garnered himself so much favor in the West.
Yeah, and this ended up coming down to, I think it was 2018 on my birthday. Yeah, right.
Coincidence?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I tried to distract away in our personal.
I post about it every year.
Yeah.
Never forget.
Never forget. Yeah, it came down to Trump. Trump didn't do anything about it. Surprise.
And got harangued for that.
Yeah,
Let's remember.
Again, just to bring it back, Biden called King Salman right before attacking Syria, one of Saudi Arabia and an Iran ally, and one of Saudi Arabia's, I guess, antagonist in the region. So that was interesting. Weird coincidence there, maybe. And then right after the following day on Friday, an intel report came out again concluding that MBS did in fact murder Jamal Khashoggi, and Biden
gave the order.
Gave the order. Yes,
I'm sure he wishes he could have done it himself.
Yeah. And Biden has decided not to sanction him or really do anything.
Yeah, they're not going to hold him accountable. And none of this is surprising. I think we were going to call this a new segment called News That Makes You Say No Shit. It's not surprising, but it's just depressing. And it's, again, like, Trump got so much shit for this, and rightfully so. That was fucking horrible. And completely outlandish, and was totally just MBS flexing to show that he could get away with it. And he was right. There's no line that can be crossed when it comes to Saudi Arabia. And we're proving it. 2 presidents have given him the free pass right now.
I think this is also worth bringing up again, that Biden did so-called halt or pause arms sales to Saudi Arabia that would be used in Yemen, while pledging to continue to sell arms to Saudi Arabia to defend their territorial integrity.
Only the defensive ones, because we know Saudi Arabia is famously under siege.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah, you think you're slick, Joe.
Yeah, so the world keeps turning. Saudi Arabia is probably, well, I mean, they're definitely chopping up people all the time within their borders, but, well, we haven't seen the last of MBS.
No.
And by that, I mean, he's on the show next week, so you're going to want to tune in.
Yeah, we luckily snagged that interview. We're going
to have a heated debate. We're not about any of this, funnily enough. We're going to talk to him about the hit Netflix documentary, Don't Fuck with Cats, because we've got some varying opinions on it. And he's been tweeting at us pretty hard, and we asked him to come on and defend himself. So next week it's on. MBS, we're gunning for you.
Yeah. Hopefully we don't get chastised for not bringing up women's rights in Saudi Arabia or something like that.
I mean, this is more important, man. We got to, get your priorities in line, potato head.
Yeah. Yeah, I that was all bothersome.
Yeah, I guess there's not much to say about it, even though we just said a bunch about it. But it's just, I think this I don't know. I was just so depressed this week because it was a pretty newsful week, a week full of news, and we can't accuse Biden of not living up to his promises, because it really does. Like, this week more than any other one felt like we were back to normal America in the worst way possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's going to be one of those situations where, how like a quote can just like follow a politician because they ended up fulfilling that in the worst way. And I think Biden's will definitely be, nothing will fundamentally change.
Yeah.
Which sucks. This section is called "You're Hurting Our Feelings." Again, this is news that it hurts our feelings personally, but it also is news that it's put out there as stuff to make you feel good, or that really appeals to your emotions, rather than like reportage or anything that's actually interesting. Yeah. And the one that I want to bring up is the Biden did nothing bad over the weekend story.
Oh, thank God.
This is a New York Times article. It's called "Did Washington Just Have an Actual Weekend?" ? And then the subhead to that is, President Biden is uninterested in generating headlines, which only emphasizes how the Trump-sized hole in Washington has created a sense of free time in the Capitol. physically, if not, or psychically, if not literally. And the, it brings up some stuff that we talked about in the past episode, which is playing Mario Kart at Camp David, bagels in Georgetown, football in Delaware, a Peloton devotee. I think the worst part is it actually highlights some politicians who talk about basically not doing their job.
Well, yeah, isn't that like the main crux of the story? It was kind of like journalists and politicians were like acting like we should be stoked for them that they didn't have to do anything all weekend.
Yeah, here's a quote from Rep. Ted Lieu. He's a Democrat from California. Quote, "It was going from working 24/7 to sort of not working at all in a snap," unquote.
Any elected officials listening, you're not supposed to tell people that. People who, and like let's not forget that like the Senate and Congress, like they work less than like a French retiree. They have like 3 months off a year, and they're there, and they're in what they're working like 3 days a week. They're like, these people don't work that much. I know this isn't the point, but it bothers me.
Yeah.
Of the optics of this, of like, oh, it's so nice not to work. And it was like, you know what? You're getting paid a lot of money and you're supposed to be fucking working.
Yeah, and then I want to want to quote this is Brian Stelter, not a friend of the show, because he looks like a nerd.
Yeah, Brian Stelter, by the way, we thought about having him on for the Don't Fuck with Cats debate, because he is pro killing cats, but we didn't really want to weigh down the conversation with just that one existential question. So MBS had a more nuanced opinion on the documentary at large.
Yeah, let it be noted that we chose MBS over Brian Stelter. So I'm going to quote Brian Stelter about his reaction to Joe Biden apparently not doing anything over the weekend. Quote, "As the host of a weekly show, the glaring absence of presidential Twitter scandals means I can plan ahead with the expectation that our plan will actually be implemented," unquote. And then quote again, "Informally, we used to leave a 5-minute size hole in my Sunday show, expecting some sort of big news break to break on Saturday night. Now we don't assume that's going to happen anymore." Sorry, it's just this is the news that was leading up to this week. So I hope he left a 5-minute gap in his show on Thursday night for Joe Biden.
Sorry, I'm Brian Stelter and I'm not good at my job.
Yeah. So
like, are you fucking kidding me?
Again, this is news that was hurting my feelings anyways. Let's talk a little bit about Neera Tanden.
Yes.
News.
Lady Deathstrike herself.
Yeah. Did
right.
you release one you want me to?
Yeah, I could lead in this. I mean, I think we got it. So there's been so much going on with her, but so basically, I don't know when the vote's supposed to happen. It might go.
They postponed it. Yeah.
Yeah, they've postponed it, which we can get into. But basically, Joe Manchin said that he was going to vote not to confirm her, which has ruffled a lot of feathers. And of course, Joe Manchin, not doing it for any altruistic reason. He's just saying it's because of her mean tweets, which again, I find very funny, her mean tweets. But really not, there's a lot of substantive reasons why Neera Tanden should be nowhere near the budgeting committee. And namely that she has no such experience. She's completely beholden to corporate donors. She's a union buster. I mean, the list goes on. There's really nothing to like about this woman.
Yeah.
And so basically her nomination is in peril now. And it's just really astounding to watch basically the entire left just kind of banding behind her as if she's some sort of fucking folk hero, and really putting in, I mean, I've never seen this much political capital put into getting a nomination that no one likes her, who, it's a person no one likes and is not good and not qualified. And everyone's getting behind it really, really hard. And it's strange as fuck. And as far as the hurting feelings thing, it's just, of course, it's it's the usual suspects of reasoning that, oh, now we're just going after a accomplished woman of color, and this is clear racist towards Asian people or immigrants or that sort of thing. which, not saying that stuff doesn't happen, but it happens to not apply to Neera Tanden.
I think the bigger story, if we do want to talk, bring up some blocking nominations, presumably for if women of color, categorizations like that. I think Deb Haaland, who's nominated, should be the first Native American to run the Department of the Interior. I think that's more interesting than Neera Tanden. Yeah, it's disappointing to see that everybody's just circling the wagons for this person who is toxic. And on that note, this Asian American woman working for the Washington Post actually showed, I want to say it's like either Marsha Blackburn or another Republican female in the Senate, I believe, some of the mean tweets that Neera Tanden wrote about her. And since this Asian American reporter for the Washington Post has received death threats and all this criticism for just showing this Republican representative tweet, or senator, the mean things that Neera Tanden said about her. And I'm just wondering who is being mean to this Asian American reporter. And I'm pretty sure it's people who are standing Neera Tanden. So yeah. Tweets do matter, and I mean, again, like the Bernie bro thing sunk Bernie's narrative, Bernie's primary run.
It's completely disingenuous. And really, I mean, the only thing there's some sort of quid pro quo going on with pushing through her nomination of like someone's owed something by getting this, Clinton era insider on, like, at all costs. It's just like it shouldn't take this long. They should have just given up by now. It's like, okay, everybody fucking hates this idea. Let's get somebody else who, and by the way, I don't think that whoever would replace her would necessarily be, well, I think I take that back. Most people that would replace her would probably be better, definitely by optics and not being such like a toxic presence, but also probably in policy. Because you can't get somebody who they'd be hard pressed to find somebody as compromised as Neera Tanden is. But yeah, it just seems to be like what fucking backroom Illuminati group of hooded men are we trying to appease with this appointment? Like anybody else who would have given up on by now, like anybody else who'd be like, okay, fuck it, it's not worth it. We'll put her into a presidential appointment somewhere. She can be a fucking, national security advisor, which she's, just as qualified for as she is for the budgeting committee, which is to say not at all. Yeah. If it's that important, but yeah, it's just, it won't go away. And they're trying to sway public opinion on this really ludicrous idea that this is all racism or anti-woman, and it's just bullshit.
Yeah, it doesn't wash. It doesn't pass the smell test. Yeah. So not good luck, Neera Tanden. I would like somebody better. I would like a better woman of color if we could choose that. It'd be great.
I'm told they exist.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot of them.
Yeah. Let's do Nobody Asked for This.
Yes.
And Ben, can you set up what this section is about?
So oftentimes in the media, in news and also in culture, we are presented with a story or a television show, or in more recent years, a podcast, a film, any sort of thing to be out there for public consumption that nobody asked for, nobody wants, but like it or not, we're going to get it anyway.
We have a lot of Nobody Asked for This week. So
this was a heavy week. I didn't really ask for anything this week. Anything we've talked about already, I didn't want.
But you get it anyways.
Yeah, here I am.
So Mehdi Hasan gets an MSNBC gig.
And I do have to quibble with that, Dan, because somebody did ask for that.
Oh yeah.
And that person was Mehdi Hasan.
Yeah.
Through his entire career.
I think we talked about this in our pre-show, but I thought he already had an MSNBC show.
Yeah, well, wasn't he on Peacock or something that wasn't prominent enough?
I guess. I mean, yeah. I guess Peacock wasn't enough. I don't know. I guess they're gonna. Is that a promotion?
I guess so. I don't know. Money-wise, probably, and notoriety. I mean, he is a little bit of a fame whore, I feel like. And I do kind of hate to say this because I was fooled for a while with Mehdi. I actually really enjoyed him at the beginning, like when he first came on my radar and he went to the Intercept and stuff, and like I enjoyed him. He's done some hardball interviews that I enjoy. Like I kind of enjoy the British journalist interview style and that it's very aggressive. But it's just, I think it was once, I'll ask you in a moment, like when you started to see behind the veil for him. But I think for me was after Biden was definitely the nominee and he started writing, he wrote some op-ed saying that Elizabeth Warren should be his VP, I think. And he just like went through all the reasons of why she was the perfect nominee, which of course was, first of all, was never going to happen. But yeah, that's when I started to like look at him a little closer and going, okay, you're not what I thought you were.
Yeah, I agree. I see Mehdi Hassan on like I think he was on a Question Time with Douglas Murray, who's a kind of a garbage right-wing UK commentator, and just destroying Douglas Murray. That was great to see. Yeah, no, I mean, I think he used to work for Al Jazeera, and he was great there. He interviewed Erik Prince once and really took him to task there.
The Erik Prince one was good. The Michael Flynn one was good.
He is a good interviewer, and I think he does Paxman, right? He does this extreme UK confrontational interviewing that can be deceptive, and seem that he would be more on the further left of the spectrum, or at least like not someone who's going to toe the party line for moderates, which is exactly what he's doing now.
Yeah, I think, I guess that's the crux of it, is that he always had higher ambitions, and that ambition was getting into the elite media class, which, as far as I can tell, it doesn't seem like you can do both, in that you can't be part of that elite class and also be a completely principled journalist. So, yeah. Mehdi, you broke our hearts. Come on the show.
Defend yourself.
Defend yourself.
I have to talk about this Keith Olbermann tweet.
Yes.
God.
Yes.
This is like nobody asked for this times a million.
Could you remind us who is Keith Olbermann?
Keith Olbermann is your residential dog catcher for journalists. He famously, I mean, he's been around forever. On MSNBC for a long time. Is he still on MSNBC?
I think so.
I don't know. You definitely know him. And as soon as Trump got elected, he took this photo of himself wrapped in an American flag and really took up this like hashtag resistance, which was lame. But in response to a New York Rangers, the hockey team, a player spoke in support of Alexei Navalny's treatment in Russia, and Russia responded by basically concocting a fake news story. So they say, again, there is some gray area with all this stuff, but didn't stop Keith Olbermann from speaking out against it in the most Keith Olbermann lame way you can imagine. So this tweet is on the 22nd of February. Keith Olbermann. Gotta say, I lived my entire life with the stain of Russian heritage in my family. Then came their conspiracy to alter the 2016 election. A year later, they hacked my computer. But now they've attacked my boy Panarin, the hockey player, so I'll make it official. Fuck you, Vladimir Putin.
The condemnation we were all waiting for from a fucking, he's like a sports broadcaster, sports commentator.
Get you a boy who can do both.
Yeah. Okay, so wow. First bit of news is completely okay to racially slander the people of Russia.
Yeah. The stain.
The stain. Yikes. I mean, I know you can say whatever you want about white people, and I mostly agree with that, but I almost completely agree with that. I don't care. But yeah, the stain of Russian, it's like, oh, man, no one asked you. No one cares.
Russia has a great heritage. Like,
yeah,
most of them are like scientists or amazing writers, or I would be proud of heritage.
Yeah, he acts like being Russian is like that you were like grew up in a fucking trailer park of meth heads. Not that I have anything against trailer parks or meth heads.
Yeah.
Some of them are lovely people. But yeah, that, and we were talking about this in the pre-interview, that that the whole tweet is fucking stupid, but the fact that he has this, what is it? I'll say it now. Fuck you,
So I'll
Vladimir.
make it official.
I'll make it official. Yes.
You
The
should have put
moment
this
we've
on a
all
letter.
been waiting for, to see where Keith Olbermann stands on Vladimir Putin. Fuck you, Vladimir Putin. I'm sure he was devastated when he read that tweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were talking about this of like, it's such a fucking sophomoric. It really sounds to me like he's like calling out a rival high school's football team. It was like, dude, you're in your 60s.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, fuck him. It's like, what are you in a fucking rap beef, you loser?
Do better.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, do better. By the way, Vladimir Putin is not reading your stupid fucking tweets.
Keith Olbermann sucks.
Oh my god, what like, it's so fucking lame. Like, it's really this weird thing. It definitely is a more boomery
burn.
Well, yeah, but like a boomery fact of social media presence. It's just like you see it a lot from the right. Like it's like anyone trying to take my guns could fuck you. I hate you. And it was like, oh shit, I guess we won't do it now that we.
Yeah. It's like they tweet as if they don't have time to like think about it. It's always on impulse. This starts off really smart, and they just get so angry. It's like, fuck, click send, and
yeah. Well, it is that sort of, again, going back to like, you see it really with like alt-right people and like, the proverbial guy giving an angry monologue while driving seemingly nowhere sort of thing. It's like that. It's that thing of having a fake having a fake argument that you're winning while you're taking a shower, like it's like they love doing that, and like that's like the new thing for like the elite liberal media class, is instead of this fantastical liberal snowflake who's literally trying to steal their guns in the night like a gremlin, now it's like, man, Vladimir Putin was here, I'd give him a piece of my mind. He's just like, it's just like, Keith Olbermann is dreaming of owning Vladimir Putin by like calling him a fucking asshole or something.
Yeah, it's just a shame because the so-called left, and I'm talking about the Olbermann types, but even on the progressive front too, it's like there is this space to like take the moral high ground and actually present a more cogent argument, and this is what we get.
Yeah, and also don't say the stain of Russian heritage, dude. That's fucked up.
That's really
yeah. It's like, there's other Russians, right? Not just Vladimir Putin.
Let's talk about a podcast that came up this week.
Yes, so I had one, and mostly I'm not gonna lie that mostly I'm worried that we have more competition, but there's mentioning that we will have a new podcast hosted by Barack Obama and Bruce Springsteen.
The boss.
Yeah,
I didn't see this one coming.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to try and be like catchphrasey, but who the fuck asked for that? So the name of the podcast, Renegades, Born in the USA. And about this podcast, Renegades Born in the USA is a series of conversations between President Barack Obama and Bruce Springsteen about their lives, music, and enduring love of America, despite all its challenges. Yeah, what was it? Something like I said, like two unlikely friends. Someone said, yeah.
They're unlikely friends?
Yeah.
I could see them being good buddies.
They're very likely friends, first of all, because people talk about like celebrity presidents, and Obama was famously called like the first celebrity president, and he's very much lived up to that. If you haven't been paying attention for the last 4 years, that's literally all Obama does is or publicly is hang out with celebrities and try and dismantle any progressive movement behind closed doors. So
yeah, I mean, it's a shame because I really like Bruce Springsteen, and
I love the boss, and I'm trying not to slander him, but you're testing us, Bruce, because we're questioning your loyalties.
If I could separate all my animosity towards Obama, his war on whistleblowers, his wars in general, I would be really excited for this. I do think he's a great speaker, obviously, very intelligent man, well-read man, but I can't, so I won't. And nobody asked for this podcast, so.
Yeah, that's about all I can say about it. And I can't imagine Bruce, I just feel like he's probably not that good of a talker.
I did see his show on Broadway. It's great.
He had a show on Broadway.
Yeah, it was awesome. And
Did he star in it?
Yeah, he starred in it. But it was like he just played his songs kind of and like gave the background of each song. So it would be like segments from each song. So you heard like a different version. What's that?
This song's about a turnpike.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Most of them, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why I kind of gave him like a Southern accent there. I'm Bruce Springsteen. Yeah. Anyway.
From Jersey.
I'm working on my impressions, ladies and gentlemen. It's not going well. So yeah, no one asked for that.
I just wanted to do this next one. I think this is a good conversation starter. Is this? I'm just gonna read the headline. Twitter announces paid super follows to let you charge for tweets. And and this is something that's just like we were debating this in the pre-show. Who's going to utilize this more, porn or celebrities? Because I don't think this is for normal people.
I have to think celebrities because, well, first of all, there's a lot of porn on Twitter already.
Yeah.
And OnlyFans seems, well, and OnlyFans goes through Twitter, doesn't it?
I mean, you can share it on Twitter, yeah.
Yeah, so I can't really, other than the fact that I think they're just trying to monetize every aspect of social media if you can or whatever. And I don't know. I mean, first thought is that they seems like they're a little late to the game.
Yeah.
Maybe they're trying, I don't know. Are they trying to like compete with like Patreon and Substack and stuff like that? Like they're trying to make up their own version only for Keith Olbermann?
That's a good question. I don't know. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. I kind of wrote in some of our notes. It's like first fleets, now this. Nobody asked for fleets.
No one wants that.
No.
Twitter, you're barking up the wrong tree.
It's not like Instagram stories, which are like it's a visual social media tool. So it's more fun to watch. Where it's like you're gonna share. A lot of people do put like images on Twitter, of course. Like, but what? Like the best part is seeing that on someone's timeline, right? It doesn't have to be momentary or fleeting.
Yeah. Frankly, I don't look at anything on Twitter unless it's been hacked. But yeah,
I never look at a fleet.
I don't see really the utility of it because OnlyFans already exists, and just buy out OnlyFans. Why don't you think of that?
Yeah, subscribe to our OnlyFans.
Oh yeah, subscribe to our OnlyFans. We're never. It's not what you think it is.
Yeah.
It's just us reading off Keith Olbermann tweets.
Should we do gut reactions?
Okay, I'll go. Can I go first? I think.
Yeah. Explain what this section is.
All right. So gut reactions is we look for something that strikes our eyes.
Our gut.
Or strikes our gut in the week. Dan and I do this separately. We don't tell the other one about it, and then we show the person. So I'm going to show mine first. Dan has never seen this, and we're going to get his gut reaction. Thought for this because we, mostly we're talking about U.S. stuff, and I have wanted to, as I do, some of you may or may not know, I do live in London at the moment, and we mostly talk about what's going on in America, but I would like to make this show a little more international in its scope.
Yeah.
So I thought this could be a good easing into the world of British politics. Op-ed from The Guardian, and Dan, could you just read the headline out there? Wait, so before you read it out, I'm going to do a two-part thing. So I will explain it. I will explain it in a moment, and we can discuss that. But before this, so I want your gut reaction, and also guess what this article could be about.
Okay, so I'm going to read the headline. This is again from The Guardian. It's their opinion by Marina Hyde. Johnson is subdued, but his dog is causing havoc. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? No, I mean, this does not interest me at all, aside from the fact, like, what the fuck could this be about?
Okay, so wait, I'm gonna read the subhead. So yeah. The headline is Johnson's. This is Boris Johnson. Johnson is subdued, but his dog is causing havoc. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? And then subhead, forget the SPAD wars at number 10. The real drama is over Dylan, the Prime Minister's sexually incontinent canine.
Do you think that there's a reason they didn't call him Boris for this reason? That they went with Johnson?
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Yeah, they were going for a little double entendre.
Yeah.
That's true. They usually call him Boris.
I'm even more confused now. What is Spad Wars?
Yeah, so SPAD is like a special advisor to the prime minister. You give up?
I'm even reading the article and I don't know what the fuck this is about.
Okay, yeah. So I think this is just as a side note, Guardian op-eds are insane sometimes.
Yeah. I remember reading one on Bilderberg, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but the like sometimes they're political and sometimes they're weird personal ones. It would be like, I found my husband's, going back to OnlyFans, like I found my husband's OnlyFans page. Here's 7 lessons I learned or something. Like, there's a lot of stupid shit like that. This one is political. So Johnson, first of all, just going from the headline, Marina Hyde, who is a Guardian columnist, Johnson is subdued, but his dog is causing havoc. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? And I'm going to answer that question, Marina. No one is thinking whatever you're thinking.
Yeah.
This mysterious, weird headline I've ever heard. So we bring up the sexually incontinent dog. So basically, last week, Boris gave a address to the public about easing of lockdown, which is going to be happening over the next few months. We work on a tier system. We've been at the highest tier for a while. So basically everything's shut down, bars, restaurants, universities, schools. It's really just shops are open, no mixing households, all of that stuff. So just as a general thing, I'm not going to get into the whole history of it, but the UK has they're doing quite well with the rollout of the vaccination now, but they've definitely had a rough go of it, not as bad as the US, but it's been a pretty piss poor performance from the Boris Johnson government. So he finally, and a big criticism over the last year has been really these half measures or, not acting soon enough. And when we came out of lockdown last summer, they deemed not to open up schools, but they prioritized pubs. It's been like a half measure that doesn't really do that much. And then, of course, we have to go back into lockdown again because it didn't work. And then cases were on the rise and stuff. This address that he gave was really the most sensible one. So having and he was a little more measured and gave a more, just a more thoughtful timeline, it seems. So first part of this article, and by the first part of this article, I mean like the first 80% of this article is just kind of her taking pot shots at him of like how he sucked. It's a different kind of glib they have over here. That's similar to left-leaning people in the States, but it's like this kind of like very passive aggressive, like, ooh, yes, it's just, it's very up its own ass when people are, rightfully criticizing the Tories. But just to give you like a little idea of this woman's writing. So for pretty much the entire pandemic, right up until about 10 minutes ago, Johnson has been the teacher who wants to be cool. You know the type, messes his hair up and calls you mate, high fives you when you get the right answer, but claims that in many ways, there are no wrong answers. Tells you to call him by his first name, deals with early speculative breaches in discipline by announcing he's not going to send you to the headmaster, mate, because he comes at this stuff from different angles. Tells you to rip out the introduction to your pandemic textbook. So yeah, sort of painting him as this wannabe, I guess, Dead Poet Society figure.
If you were confused.
Yes. This goes on for a while. And it's basically her just being mad that it's so late in the game that he's like just basically kind of saying like, well, you fucked up so much and like now we're still mad at you, which is again completely fair and correct. So back to here. Well, now, I don't think we can pay the slightest attention to some unelected spads or unelected ministers criticizing the prime minister's partner for being unelected. So that was him talking about his new girlfriend, or I don't know, wife, if they're married yet. So here we get to the dog. Much more diverting is all the drama concerning Dylan the dog, who is reportedly being used by Islington blogger Dominic Cummings to, quote, to fight a proxy war against the PM's fiance. I can't believe that A nation run like this has the highest death toll in Europe, and B, Dominic has time for briefings, having now surely been snapped up by one of the big Silicon Valley companies. So she's talking about Dominic Cummings, blah, blah, blah. And yet I read that Cummings reportedly holds a grudge against the Jack Russell Cross after it humped his leg at a number 10 away day. There is more, much more. The dog is said to have caused expensive damage to Checkers Antiques, while according to the Mail, quote, one visitor claims to have seen Dylan mount a stool made from the foot of an elephant shot by US President Teddy Roosevelt.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so I'm not going to read too much more of this, but there's a lot of, so basically Boris Johnson has a horny dog that's humping everything in sight, including like Price's Furniture at number 10 Downing Street, the Prime Minister's residence. And what she goes on to suggest is that, is that it's odd that we have this like measured, thoughtful Prime Minister in the last address to the nation. And what she posits is a sort of Freaky Friday situation where the consciousness of the dog and Boris Johnson have been swapped. And the dog apparently is quite the statesman, and Boris Johnson is spending his time like humping and pissing on everything.
If that is not the definition of British humor, I don't know what is.
And this woman is a Guardian columnist, and Nathan Robinson was fired, ladies and gentlemen, just to show you.
Wow.
It's very British humor, and like I guess it like if you could somehow condense that joke into like a tweet, I suppose it could be good. But she rambles on so long to get there, and
it's
like,
a long article.
It's a long article, and I know you're not supposed to bury the lead, but like you have to give a little bit more of the game away than that. Of just like, incontinent dog, you're thinking what I'm thinking? It's like, no one is thinking what you're thinking. What are you talking about?
Let me read you mine.
Okay.
It's not as highbrow.
Few things are.
So this says, watch in all capitals, : QAnon supporters tell CNN reporter in shocking segment they're hoping for Myanmar-like military coup to reinstall Trump.
Good luck, I guess.
They
know about Myanmar?
Yeah. They want a Myanmar style coup to reinstall Trump. Why interview these fucking people? I mean, that's the main thing, isn't it? It's like, shut the fuck up. Well, they need to keep it alive. Like, what was it? They just had the acting. I didn't pull this up. I was thinking about it, but we had so much other bullshit to talk about today. But like the acting chief of police in DC was saying that like another assault on the Capitol could be imminent, which basically it's just a excuse to keep National Guard troops there basically forever now. I'll make a prediction, which I normally don't like to do, but I feel like I don't think those National Guard troops are going anywhere. And yeah, this person, they made a statement that it was like, oh yeah, I think it could be like the State of the Nation or something, or State of the Union, and that like they might try and blow up the Capitol. So just nonsense. And this kind of seems like the same thing. Just like, how long can we keep this bullshit alive in the hearts and minds of people? And Trump is speaking at CPAC, so we have to deal with that round of.
Oh yeah, that'll be good. I mean, I want to get back to CPAC in a second, but because I did have a thought on that. But I'm a little offended because CNN never talks to us about our hopes and dreams. Yeah. And like I'm a simple man, but like I got dreams and they don't involve military coups. So like, but like why the fuck can't they reach out to me?
Yeah, it really does feel like a man bites dog story here. Interviewing these QAnon supporters.
Oh man, I mean, I sort of understand the allure of it.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it would be fun. Like, I feel like it'd be cool, or not cool, but I feel like it'd be fascinating to like go down the Q rabbit hole. Just like talk to any of these fucks and be like, tell me everything. What do you think?
Yeah.
Moon landing, Epstein. Well, we'll actually have a lot of similar opinions on Epstein, I'm sure. I know how the moon landing was faked, so I don't need to talk about that. But yeah, so I could get how, I don't know, maybe it's like a little bit like a drug. I feel like it's not genuine though. I feel like it's just like, how much can we? Also, if you want to scare the American public, Myanmar is not a good way to do it, because no one's paying attention to that shit. You gotta go old school. Talk about marching on Poland or something. People aren't that informed.
Yeah, like now that you say that, like that's actually like that citation is pretty astounding for someone who follows the QAnon. Maybe I had too low expectations about their intelligence.
I mean, I don't know. The thing is, a lot of when you get into the deep dive conspiracy theorists, they do their research.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, they don't necessarily research good source material, but they put in the hours. So
yeah.
But yeah, so hats off to Q, I guess, for the specificity. It's a recent coup. I just don't think the tactics would overlap as much. The armed forces here compared to Myanmar, very different infrastructure, very different political climate. So they're a little bit up there, but I'll give them an A for relevance, at least by current events.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't draw comparisons between Biden and Aung Suu or Aung Suu Kim, the leader of Myanmar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The political president.
Well, did you read the article? Maybe they go into that too.
Yeah. We'll
what if it just turns out that Q people are super well educated on Myanmar? Like that's the one thing that they're actually really astute on.
Yeah, no wonder they're so mad at CNN. They've really done a disservice to their intelligence.
Yeah. Maybe they're the experts to talk to. They actually understand the nuance.
I think this is a good lead into news you don't care about. Ben, did you have anything?
Oh, wait, before this, could we just go back to CPAC for a second?
Oh, yeah.
Did you watch any of the Ted Cruz?
Oh, no, but I heard it was embarrassing.
Joking about, yeah, I only watched a clip of it, but I just wanted to talk about CPAC for a second. I feel like maybe this is something to go into. We'll have to talk about Trump's appearance or whatever and actually watch that. But yeah, I didn't watch the whole thing, but it's Ted Cruz giving shitty stand-up comedy.
Ugh.
And it seems to be is that where the world's going as far as if that's where the right wing is going, I'm all for it. It's just all these guys trying to be Trump, and they will try to do that. But I'm all in for all these guys trying to get their tight five.
Yeah, this is kind of like their I mean, it's the prep for the main stage, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
they try out the job.
Yeah, they're working the open mics, and because it'll never happen because no one riffs like Trump, right?
Yeah, no, Ted Cruz is
You're never going to step to the goat, Ted Cruz, but no. I applaud the effort.
So wait, what clip did you see of Ted Cruz?
I just saw the bit of him talking about he made a joke about Cancun. He's like, "Good to be here in Miami, not as good as Cancun," and everyone's like, "Ha!" Just going back to the thing of these people don't really have much of an ideology other than they want to own libs.
Yeah.
They just want to piss people off. And then of course libs will fall right into the hand too. Can you believe he said this? It's yeah, of course I can believe he said it. It's fucking Ted Cruz.
Outrageous.
I can't believe he tried to be funny. That's actually the bombshell.
Yeah, that's more offensive, really. You had something for news that you don't care about. You had our man in Libya.
Our man in Libya. Yes. So Erik Prince is back in the news.
What everybody wanted to hear.
Yeah. For those of you who may not remember of Blackwater fame, Erik Prince is a former Navy SEAL and a heir to some sort of billionaire family, right? And also the brother of Betsy DeVos, the the Secretary of Education under Trump. So Erik Prince founded Blackwater, which became famous back in 2007 after the Nissar Square massacre happened in Iraq. So Blackwater is a private military contractors. He since then rebranded and he's been all over the place, but he's back in the news as, so just reading from The Intercept here.
Sorry, would you mind telling me what the Nissar Square massacre is?
Right. So the Nissar Square massacre happened in 2007 when employees of Blackwater Security Consulting, which I believe is now called Academy. So they were contracted to do security services in Iraq for the U.S. government, and they hit, I suppose, what Marines would call a little bit of a snafu that came out of nowhere. So basically, they were at this crowded market square, Nissar Square, and decided to just open fire on kind of everybody in the square. They were escorting a U.S. embassy convoy, and so they just they thought there was a threat, as often happens in these places, not threats, people thinking there's threats, and ended up just opening firing on fucking everybody and killed 17 people and injured 20 more. So that was Blackwater. They got
why did they hate us?
I can't imagine why. So that was Blackwater. It was a big deal at the time. Some of the people who perpetrated it were charged, and then I think just recently pardoned by Trump.
Yes.
But basically all the people at the bottom got charged for kind of given sweetheart deals anyway, compared to having their name synonymous with a massacre. But anyway, Erik Prince kind of went into obscurity, and he's just sort of, we can get into him as a person in a moment, but he has been back in the news. And I just want to read the first line from Guardian article by Matthew Cole. In 2019, Erik Prince, the founder of the notorious mercenary firm Blackwater and a prominent Donald Trump supporter, aided a plot to move US-made attack helicopters, weapons, and other military equipment from Jordan to a renegade commander fighting for control of war-torn Libya. A team of mercenaries planned to use the aircraft to help the commander, Khalifa Hifter, Khalifa Hifter, a US citizen and former CIA asset, defeat Libya's UN-recognized and US-backed government. While the UN has alleged that Prince helped facilitate the mercenary efforts, sources with knowledge of the chain of events, as well as documents obtained by The Intercept, reveal new details about the scheme, as well as Prince's year-long campaign to support Hifter in his bid to take power in Libya. So this is news you probably don't care about, but you should for a few reasons. There's a lot there. First of all, let's not forget that Libya is a fucking war zone, and that came directly from Obama policies. It's still so basically, he was trying to lend support to this this warlord who's an ex-CIA asset, and he was trying to do it by way of, I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but trying to do it by way of the Crown Prince of the United Arab Emirates. I believe it's MBZ. They all get acronyms. So I think it's interesting for a few reasons. First of all, it's just Erik Prince is never going to go away. He's just like a herpes sore that keeps coming back up, and kind of keeps coming back up in new extraordinary ways. He'll disappear and fail, and then somehow come back with more power.
Yeah, we love a comeback story in the United States.
I think also for all of you liberal people who are really into the Russiagate spy fantasy shit, if you want sexy intrigue stuff, you don't need to go to fake stories. There's real people like that. He is a real Bond villain, actually. Erik Prince, son of billionaires, became a Navy SEAL, runs a mercenary army. And by the way, on the side note, I'm pretty sure that he's been trying to get into the Africa market, because basically he's trying to consolidate control of minerals. Also under Trump,
more Bond villain than you could.
Under Trump was kind of trying to float the idea that we would completely outsource the U.S. military effort in the Middle East, that he would run it. So basically saying that he wanted to become viceroy of the Middle East. Has a lot of shady dealings with China and creating his own private air force. So he is a real life Bond villain. And then also, I just think it's important to remember military contractors in general, because it's something we don't give enough thought to. And I think it bears mentioning that these forever wars that we find ourselves in, I don't think they would, I don't think they could operate the way they do if we didn't have private contractors doing kind of the bulk of the work.
Yeah, they deserve some more recognition.
Yeah, the wonderful boys in black.
Yeah, no, I think this is definitely something to think about, especially just like giving the context of Libya over what almost like the last decade now, which increasingly seems like a divide and conquer policy. I mean, I think that you have France. This is such a strange conflict. It's like you have France, Russia, and like the UAE on one side, and then you have like the United States, Britain, and like Italy or someone on the other side of it. It really is meshed into geopolitics more than anything. And of course, like the people of Libya do have to suffer. And again, if you do have like allies on the opposite sides of the conflict, again, I can't see this as anything other than 21st century divide and conquer strategy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is some local politics that this person I follow on Twitter shared. I'm just going to read the headline, then I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. It says Missouri. This is from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. So Missouri Senate gives preliminary approval to bill that creates new protections for police, increases penalties for protesters. Basically, since the Mike Brown incident, which I think was in 2015, maybe 2014. And if you don't remember, Michael Brown was killed by a he's a black teenager killed by a white police officer. His body was basically left out in the hot sun just to roast essentially as he died. And there was a lot of protest about it, especially in the St. Louis area, of course. People would do die-ins. Basically, you would go into a public place, and to disrupt traffic, you would pretend as if you were a dead body. They did this in the large mall in St. Louis called the Galleria. They also did this on, and this is specifically to the article, they did this on highways to block traffic. So you were starting to see this backlash against, again, as the headline says, against protesting and protections and increased protections for police. So I just want to read this law enforcement bill of rights, or excuse me, listen to the bill. So Eigel, who is a Republican promoting this bill, here are the 5 provisions. So a law enforcement bill of rights for officers under investigation. Increased penalties for protesters who block traffic, increased penalties for protesters who vandalize monuments, the right for taxpayers to obtain court orders against municipalities that cut police budgets much more steeply than those of other departments, a prohibition on granting probation or conditional release to people who have committed dangerous felonies against on-duty law enforcement officers or first responders. So these are, again, it's more of a criminalization of protest and increased protections for police. So who knows if this will have any permeating effects outside of the St. Louis area, but I do think that we are getting into more of this world where we do criminalize protest and start to again give more protections to state law enforcement.
Yeah, we'll start having our free speech zones where you can only protest in a certain thing. I always hate this argument where it's like, I just wish they didn't block traffic.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the point, right?
Yeah, exactly. You could ignore them.
It doesn't work unless it disrupts stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. Goddamn.